Hey, everybody, and welcome to this episode. Today, we're going to talk about our latest project, Mamacita.ai. Well, Mamacita.ai is an AI dating platform, and we believe right now is the time to actually tackle this problem. In general, Mark, today we're going to talk about the market, and of course, why did we build it? Why did we start it? And of course, what are current incumbents? And yeah, Mark, maybe we should get started. You want to start? Why do we start it?
Yeah. Well, honestly, it's just super cool. I love working with the tech AI in general right now. And I think this is a perfect time because AI is readily available. And also, I think the dating market right now is a little bit fucked up. It is,
So,
yeah, you guys go ahead.
yeah, I mean, just to jump in there right now. So, for example, just to give some statistics, why we believe like AI dating right now might sound very absurd, but at the same time, it will make sense if you listen to all these statistics. And of course, I think in a few years, this might be a very contrarian opinion right now, but in the future, I believe will be right, will be accepted. So right now, for example, if you go on Tinder, there's 75% are male. Okay, and then male swipe on every third woman right on average, and every woman swipes on every 16th man right.
Damn.
So that
That's it.
means, yeah, so there's a discrepancy of at least a woman gets 15 to 16 times more matches than a male. Okay, and if a woman gets 15 to 16 times more matches on average than a male, that means that they can select with whom they talk. They only, of course, as is all human, they will only talk to the most attractive, etc. Right?
Or the
Or the
better
ones,
fit, right?
or the
They're a
better
match,
fit,
whatever.
or the ones who are like more daring, etc. Because they have like there's so much so much supply that like they might be overwhelmed, right? So I mean, who hasn't talked to somebody who's like, oh my god, it's so overwhelming. At the same time, guys be like, oh my god, I am getting ghosted, etc. So it's like very, I mean, it's like, and then just like understanding, of course, it's not the fault of the woman because it's just like they get so many messages. At the same time, that leaves a lot of men being frustrated. And also, Mark, that brings me to another statistic. So, Mark, how many men do you think under 30 haven't had sex in over a year, between 18 and 30?
How percentage wise?
Yeah, and then, for example, an example, women for that age range is 18%.
Oh, so it must be much more. If it's 18% between 18
All
and
right.
30,
So, and this is now. So, for example, in 2008, both of them were, no, 2010, 11, it was roughly
same.
14%. Yeah, the same and 14%.
Men now above 30, 40, 30.
30. So in 2019, it was exactly like I think 28% or something like this.
Damn.
Um, and yeah, I think right now it's like even more higher,
And that's only
which is
that's
crazy.
that's just sex, or is it also like flirted, dated? What does that entail?
No, it's sex.
Okay. Because I think there was also another statistic with it, which I forgot about again. But there was like it's one very similar. It's just like, hey, I don't know, 30% of men haven't had a date or kissed a woman in I don't know whichever time, which is
Yeah,
fucking also crazy. Like single men,
yeah.
available men.
I mean that just shows that it's like, think about it. Every third person, probably right now, every third male didn't have sex in a year.
Is that
And
sorry, the stats that you said about Tinder, is that the same for Bumble and Hinge and what all these other platforms, or how's that going?
I didn't find the statistic on that, to be honest. I only
Mm-hmm.
was looking at Tinder, but I'm assuming it's very, very similar. And also just a comparison to talk about market size. So, for example, Tinder is right now worth 42 billion, and
Damn.
Bumble is 6 billion. So that's a lot.
Do
I
you know how much
mean,
revenue they make for this kind of valuation?
I think Tinder's making over 1 billion Tinder revenue. Let's see, revenue.
Damn.
More,
That's
no,
a crazy
1.9 billion. 1.9 billion,
It's
right?
still a crazy multiple. That's a 21x multiple.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming people don't churn once they pay. I mean, Bumble
Yeah.
has lifetime subscriptions, right? So instead of yearly, you can just
Yeah,
type
but then
lifetime.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's
then you
just
don't
once.
generate more money,
Yeah.
exactly.
No, you don't generate more money. Well, technically they do because you can still have you can buy spotlights or more super
Oh
likes,
yeah, yeah.
etc.
I forgot about
So
that.
it is the same with Tinder, right? More super likes. You can buy now even the
Mm.
super expensive, not like, well, you have gold, platinum, and then the
The 10K one or whatever, how much
Tinder
it is.
expensive subscription. Um,
Mm.
which is like you can even text people without having a match, and it's 499 per. It's called Tinder Select. It's
Oh,
four
okay,
hundred ninety
yeah.
nine a month,
I was
which is
just googling
ridiculous.
it.
Um, but yeah, and it's just for me just crazy. But yeah, all right, coming back. So basically, why are we starting? Just to give a quick summary, what we have done so far. So we started actually in January with building Mamacita.ai, which is basically an AI dating platform, especially for male. Because like in the end, women tend not to have that problems. Of course, you can also create your AI boyfriend. But like during that time, like especially working because it's considered adult industry. I mean, technically it's dating, but it's considered from payment processor as high risk. So you can't work with Stripe. You have to find other payment processors. Oh my god, like it's crazy. Like just work on it, and it's just like you just see like when you come from
Completely
a like
different
an
world. Completely different
yeah, and
world.
especially when you come from a different different startup background. So, for example, we built before a gaming startup, and then you just look at it, and like then you could choose Stripe or other integrations, and now you can't, right? And like normally you're like, all right, yeah, this is a legit provider. For example, before you could run ads on Meta, right? And then the Meta ads, yeah, you can say, okay, this is a click, this is an actual click. um for example, we were trying to run ads on Juicy Ads. Juicy Ads is basically an ad network for all the adult websites. So it can be like very, very niche from hentai to whatever you can imagine. That's and there you can select it. But man, like,
So many
because
fakes.
I'm a person who likes tracking, so we did like a integrated like a tracking like a tracker, a click tracker, and then it was I think 3 to 4x difference in the clicks what they are telling us that the link was achieving versus what they actually like, for example, that our tracking link was registering, whereas in Meta was the same, was one to
Well,
one.
it's the same thing with Twitter, though, right? A lot of bots where you just like, hey, so
Yeah,
we pay some influencers, porn,
yeah,
well, whatever influencers, also to promote us, and some of them get a lot of clicks, but the clicks are not worth anything. And we
yeah,
noticed
because
it
just
directly
bots.
when our basically the usage on a website per user, the average time goes down. So when we had like shit traffic, it went down from like 2 minutes or something to a minute and 20 average. So directly
Yeah.
because there's shit, it's just a bot clicks on it, the link, and then leaves. So that's 1 second, 0 seconds, and that average is just boop plummeting directly.
Yeah, I mean, in general, everything takes more time. For example, like for example, payment processor, right? It took us for us, I think, between 6 and 7 weeks for payment processing implementation. Whereas if you not in like adult or like high risk sector, man, Stripe's like what 5 minutes, whatever implementation, maybe a day if it takes you long. And it just shows that there's so much space for innovation in that sector. Like not only like in AI dating, which I honestly I believe is probably a 50 billion like
Well, this is
market
this is
size.
another thing. This is one thing that I want to talk to you about as well. Because the thing is with like say Tinder, Bumble, all these kind of dating sites, it's kind of a network effect, right? You want to have both sides. It's a two-sided marketplace, right?
Yeah,
Women, men, or well, whatever you float your boat, right? So that you means the more user, the better the experience will be. Mostly. Also, it needs to be equal men, women, right?
well,
Otherwise, you have the experience a little bit
also
different.
is another limitation is not only having the same equal, but they have to be local, like they have to be
Yeah,
very close,
exactly. No,
right?
no,
So like
100%. Needs to be
geographically, so you have to have
exactly.
a yeah
Needs to be
critical
there. It needs to be
mass.
nearby. Exactly. All
Yeah,
these kind of things. But the difference is with AI, you could have fucking 100 different platforms, and the experience for the user will not be different based on how many users are actually using it. It will be based on the model. So it's
yeah.
just more about the product, not how many other users. So that means it will also be much harder for one company to be extremely, extremely big because
It,
there could
mhm.
be other ones that just have a different model or something different that people like, and then people will go there because what's the point?
I completely agree. So the best thing is like, for example, same with Facebook, right? In the end, Facebook is only that big because it has so many network effects, right? So for example, coding wise, building Facebook, like the basic, is very, very simple. Same with WhatsApp. But what makes it so unique or defensible are all the network effects does it have, right? May it be so many users, may it be that it built like a developer kit so that people build in Facebook logins,
Just
etc.
exactly.
Marketplace.
Facebook authentication, man. Pain in
Yeah.
the ass. Once
S-
you have it, you don't want to get rid of it.
Exactly. So, and I think this is like, you have like a very good point there, that it's like very, if it's AI, and you don't have a community, that it's very hard to defend it. But this doesn't change that I think the market is very, very big, like huge, as well as I believe it's like can be quite profitable. Like I think it's very different. Or can be the difference between paying and free customers. Um, but I also think that it's solving a need or like a frustration that is currently happening in on dating platforms, right? So, for example, my thesis right now, I mean, it's 2024, 23rd of April, that in the next 1 or 2 years, there will be a company that will create the next AI dating platform,
Hmm.
um, that will be worth over 1 billion. So my question is not like, it's not quite if, but it's more when, because I just believe that it's so big that there's so many people they're frustrated with current like solutions, especially male, um, that just rather be like, hey, because in the end, like, what do we people look for, right? Because then you
Well,
can go back.
connections, right? Like either
Exactly.
connections or intimacy. And it doesn't have to be physically, right? It's also about emotional intimacy and all this
Yeah.
stuff. I don't know, someone who asked you just how your day was. And people,
Yeah.
I mean, AI can already send you pictures nowadays, like not only
Yeah.
like nude stuff, just like, hey,
Soon, soon also videos, right? So if you look
mm,
at Sora, um, from OpenAI,
yeah,
create awesome videos which are more or less consistent. Of course, there's still like bugs,
yeah,
etc.,
they are.
or like artifacts in the video, but it just like gives you a glance of what will the future bring, which is like really amazing. And then applying this for dating, because I think like, yes, like people look for intimacy, right? Because in the end, you have to think about, of course, then haters will say, hey, why do you have an AI girlfriend? Why not get a real one? I mean, those people, like, there are a lot of people who will not be like, who rather have an AI girlfriend than not, because in the end, it's like, if you want to talk to somebody who you're going to talk to as a guy, it's very hard to talk about your feelings with another guy. Whereas it is much easier if you can just text with somebody.
Also,
Yeah,
another thing I was thinking about, I mean, I know this in the US, in terms of what women are interested. I think we talked this already on the pod. What women are interested in, what men are interested in, is just basically like a scissor. Like the gap is becoming bigger and bigger. Politically, the direction, like men are more conservatives versus women tend to be more liberal. And since political view seems to be one of the most important factors when finding a mate, this is causing more and more discrepancies. So thereby, it's even harder to find a mate right now or a girlfriend, boyfriend. So in that sense, it's even better, or AI will not even have that issue because you can create it whatever you want.
yeah. I mean, I really believe in the market, and of course, here on the pod today, we're saying some hypotheses. Let's see, let's check in a year or 2 years,
Oh,
whether we were right
100%.
on that one. I believe so. But yeah, we'll see, of course, what's going to happen.
I
But
think
yeah,
it's
Mark.
interesting. I think it's interesting in general how the market will develop, right? It's not only that, think about it, like gaming. When we're growing up, gaming was not cool. Nowadays, gaming is super cool,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, yeah,
It's like, or think about it. What's the difference between an AI girlfriend and a Tamagotchi? For those people who don't know, it's like a fucking thing that you had to keep alive, a little thing back in the day. It's the
yeah.
same fucking thing, right? It's like you text something or you have an emotional connection to it, and you kept it alive. That's it. And that's like the same thing. It's what's different to a virtual pet, or I don't know.
It
I'm
is
not.
true. I also, I mean, I don't want to bring like ignore all the downsides or like
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
especially the
yeah.
risks, because like in everything, may it be gambling, whatever, there's like always a risk of addiction, may it be alcohol, whatever. So that's like something that really needs to be considered as well.
Social isolation, for example, in this case.
Exactly. So that's something that might be, but again, then you have to also think like maybe they've been isolated before and that helps them open up, because in the end, it's like, it's all depends how you use it, right? So you can open the model and say like, hey, um, help this person to be more social, right? And then nudge it towards the direction to have more social interaction with their friends, etc. So I think like there are a lot of options where this can go in the right direction. Of course, there are also ones where it can in the wrong direction, but I'm very positive, or like very optimistic. Let's put it this way. Yeah, they're going in the right direction.
Me
So yeah,
too. I think that's a prediction for the future. We'll see how it goes. Honestly,
but yeah, all
excited.
right. If you want, check out Mamacita.ai. Before we finish, Mark, we have this good old twin agreement. So the twin agreement basically states, now that you've been listening to us, if you're listening to us on Spotify, go on the YouTube and of course press subscribe. And if you're on YouTube, why not go on Spotify or Apple Music or Apple Podcast and just subscribe? That would
And
mean the
share.
world to us. And of course, see you in the next one. Peace.